Hello, Sola fam. So nice to be here today. I am Rachel Vaughn, Vice President of Marketing at Sola, and I am here with this amazingly talented group of Faces of Sola, Kim, Hunter, Joey, and Steven. We are here today to talk about a very meaty and relevant topic about when and how to raise your prices. This, more than ever right now, is so relevant. And the more that we've talked as a group, we just realize it's something that so many beauty professionals are struggling with. And so we got this group of professionals here together to kind of share some of their best practices and how they go about looking at when and how to adjust pricing so that they can share some of that knowledge with all of you. Know that because this is such a meaty topic, we'll have a few different tools and resources for you kind of as a follow-up. This will live on the Sola Pro app. We will send it out in the weekly newsletter, and we'll also follow up with additional things to kind of help guide you through this tough conversation with clients and strategy and understanding your value. So lots to come in the next few months. With that, I am going to turn it over to Steven Wren, our very talented moderator for the day. And he is going to guide the group through just a lot of really helpful questions that hopefully help inform you moving forward. So Steven, take
Thank
it
you,
away.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in live or on the rebroadcast. I'm Stephen Rent. I am a licensed barber and proud independent suite owner for knocking on 5 years now, just outside Chicago, in Chicagoland suburbs. But I'd also like to introduce to you and they can tell you a little bit about themselves, starting with Joey.
Hey, Joey Figueredo here, Kansas City, Missouri, and I have a Sola in Prairie Village, Kansas. And I've been with Sola for 9.5 years, so a long time. But I'm also a regional educator for Evo, which is an Australian brand. And so I do a lot of fun hair adventure stuff. So thanks for letting me be here with the panel, and can't wait to discuss this crazy, crazy topic.
Awesome. Joey's one of our Solar Salon veterans. Next, Kim, tell us a little about yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Kim Higgs. I have been with Sola for about 3 years now. I'm located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I kind of specialize working with women in all stages of their life, making sure that they're constantly feeling beautiful and empowered during some of those hard times in their life, and then during like those fun times as well. And I'm super excited about this webinar today. It's going to be so fun to talk about.
Absolutely. We're going to have a great conversation. And Hunter, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, fam. My name is Hunter Donya. I am an industry business educator. I teach hairstylists just like you how to streamline and operate your business in a more boundaried and automated way. And I am also a solo suite owner just like you. I've been in my solo for about two and some change years at this point, and it is absolutely been an amazing experience. And I'm so glad that we get to come together today and have such an amazing conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. You know what? In this industry, there's no cookie cutter way. There's no formatted ABC pattern of success. There are so many different roads to achieve a success and goals and everything within our suites. So enough from hearing from me, but let's go ahead and dive in with our professional experts on this topic. How do you know when it's time to raise your prices? We'll start with Kim.
Yeah, this is a great way to start the conversation. You always want to have a reasoning behind why you're going to raise your prices. So whenever it's time for me, I kind of have three pillars that I always look at. For me, it's my demand, my timing, and my value. I always want to make sure that my demand is higher than what I can deliver. So am I 8 to 12, weeks booked out? Am I having a hard time getting new clients in, getting my existing clients in? So it's always like a number one key factor that you're kind of ready to raise your prices to kind of weed out some of those old people so that you can acquire new people. Next one is my timing. How long has it been since I raised my prices? Has it been a while? You always want to make sure that you're doing it routinely, but once or twice a year or so I do for myself. And then I always like to make sure that I am giving a great value to my clients. Am I continuously educating myself? Am I learning new tips, techniques, so that I can increase the value of my services with my clients? So whenever I'm ready to go ahead and raise my prices, those are three things I just kind of ask myself just to make sure that there is a good intent behind why I'm doing it.
Awesome. Gloria and Hunter, would you like to chime in on that topic?
Sure. Yeah, mine is really similar to Kim. The so demand is 100% like one of the biggest factors, right? Because if we're going to be doing a price increase, we want to make sure that we have people who are going to be coming behind and in to the spaces that we may be losing if clients leave us for our price increases. And we'll get a little bit more into that. But, there's going to be certain price increases that you're going to have based upon, you having the demand and you just needing to do that, and where you're actually going to want to lose a little bit of clientele to make room for more. But there's also going to be price increases where your profit margin is lowering and lowering and lowering because of how long it's been, kind of like what Kim was saying as well. The value of the dollar changes by the day, right? And especially in today's day and age, depending on the time that you're watching this, we're recording this in a time where inflation is absolutely insane. The economy is insane. The cost to do business for us as beauty professionals, as solo beauty professionals, is just skyrocketing. And so, that $50 haircut that you were charging for last year, your profit on the back end of that $50 haircut is a lot less than what it was last year, right? And so if we don't make up for that change in your profit, then you're going to be losing out on money, and your profit and your what you're taking home at the end of the day is actually just going to be decreasing over time. But you just want to make sure that you don't increase so much over your demand level that you lose out and everything falls out from beneath you. So it's all about, just figuring out what is the why, like Kim said. Like, you really need to figure out what the why is, so that way you can consider all the factors and make the right decisions accordingly.
Absolutely.
And I really do. I mean, I couldn't have said it better than Hunter and Kim as well. I mean, it literally is just the demand that is out there, clearing off your shelves to put in more inventory, meaning more clients that are willing to pay your pricing. And we'll go into that, I think, a little bit later on in this presentation. But really knowing that, and then perceived value as well. So what are you going to give back to your clients as you raise your pricing? I know it's scary for everyone, but I think to know what your worth is and how much you put into our careers and our businesses, that's how you know when it's time to raise your pricing, and the demand as well. I mean, I have a waiting list of people wanting to get in, and there's no space for them. So, but yeah, that's when I know when it's time to raise my pricing.
Absolutely. I'm not just the moderator, but I'm someone here also taking notes, and we're getting ready. We're already getting off to a great start with this. So if you don't have your pen out already, just get your pen out, take your notes, have your tablet phone, whatever it is. But we're having a lot of information here from these professionals, and I'm not only the moderator, but I'm a student. Next question. How do you determine pricing for your services? Do you charge an hourly rate, or do you price by service? We'll start with Hunter.
So I actually do a combo of both. I think both hourly rate and then a la carte / price by service. I think they both have their pros and cons for sure. And the way that I do it, because I really love the pros of both and I really hate the cons of both, I take all of the pros of each of them and then I put them in together into one thing that I like to call package or session pricing. There's a bunch of different people that call it a bunch of different names. I like session pricing, in which this is an all-inclusive, basically package that this client is going to get, where I'm taking in consideration my hourly rate, right? So I am charging for my time because I believe that we deserve as hairstylists to have predictable income. So I know if I am booked and I'm working from this hour to this hour, I know that I can expect to make this much amount of money, right? Or more, right? Which is where I bring in the a la carte side and pros and bring that into the package sessions, where if you have just an hourly rate and if you're just charging for an hourly rate, you can't build your ticket. You're no longer in control of, if you can add on a conditioning treatment and make a little bit of extra coin that day. You know what I mean? And you're also giving leverage over to your client, right? Leverage over your pricing and how you're charging them, because you are publicly facingly charging by the time, right? Everybody understands time. And so let's say you have Susie booked for 3.5 hours and you get her done in 2.5 hours, right? You just reserved a big slot of your time where you expected to be paid X amount of dollars. But if you finished early and you charge hourly and your client understands that, then your client's going to be like, well, I'm not going to be charged for 3.5 hours if you just finished me at 2.5, right? So then you lose out on money, an hour's worth of money, right? Where you could have been doing something that was generating revenue. So with package pricing, the way that I do it is you're paying for the time that you reserved with me, not the amount of time that it took me to get it done. The transformation from A to B, right? What you're coming in with and what I'm bringing you to, and I make sure that I have a certain amount of product that is budgeted for and allotted for each package that I have. So I think that it has completely simplified my life, my menu. It has made everything so predictable for me, and my clients absolutely love it. So I could keep going on and on, but I want to hear from my friends over here.
Yeah, I love how Hunter does it. That's amazing. And I think whatever way that you choose has to be true and authentic to yourself and how you want to run your business. Just having like open communication with your clients. You know, a big thing for me, which we've kind of talked about, the prices of goods, is like when I do that price increase, I always go over, has there been any increases in my color and my developer, all the tools and things that I'm using, and I help incorporate that into how much a percentage of how I'm going to increase my prices. So it's just really important that you kind of look at all the factors and put everything together. And like Hunter said earlier, just making sure not you're outweighing your prices where you're going to put yourself into some trouble.
And I think this is actually like a two-part question. If you actually like read it, like how do you determine prices for your services at first? You know, and especially coming on your own and going into Sola, like how do you price it? And so I really do think, you know, your branding and what you're providing for your clients. You know, I always say, like, are you Godiva chocolate or Hershey chocolate? You know, which one are you? Like, are you more high end? Are you more lower end, but like more people are coming in? So it depends on what kind of services you're providing for that client and what really serves your brand, more luxury or more consumer friendly. And then also you're charging hourly and price by service. I think I'm just a little bit more old school. I like to do price by services because it gives me a little bit more flexibility to add on those extra services like Hunter was saying. You know, I always look at fast food restaurants like, do you want fries with that? Like, do you want a hair conditioning treatment with that today? Or would you like those little things, those little add-ons that actually make big ticket items at the end of the day? And then also hourly rating, I don't know, just for controversy of that, is that it gives my clients control of my time and how much time they're like, oh, well, you talked to me for, you know, 30 minutes extra this time, or, you know, oh, I was processing for a little bit extra this time, so I shouldn't be paying for that. So I just like pricing by services, but determining your prices, I mean, that's a whole panel by itself, but like depending on like what market you're in, where you live, what service you're in. So I feel like that is a very broad question, but I think you guys hit it right on the nail. I just, you know, it really determines or depends on what services and clientele that you have.
Can I add on to that before we move? Because I think it's so important. I'm so glad that you touched on it, Joe. Like you determining your own pricing and how you determine that is so individual, and so it's just so important to not be looking at the left and the right and to really be looking at yourself and your own market where you are. Right, like when I see like free Facebook group posts and it's like, how much do y'all charge for a haircut? I'm like, y'all know that like that this person has like 3.5 months booked out of worth of clientele, and you maybe have like a week's worth work booked out, right? Or this person lives in like middle of nowhere, Idaho, and this person lives in New York City. Those are two completely different situations in which those prices have to be determined completely separately, right? And Joey said this can be a whole other panel. But it's super important that you're not determining your prices just because based upon what everybody else is doing. It's really important that you consider your own market, what your market can withstand, and where your demand level is, and what your clients that you have right now see as worth it to be paying for your services.
That's why conversations like this are so necessary, because you have an opportunity to see different perspectives and opinions on this. Kim said, true and authentic to yourself. Like that sums up the independent lifestyle right there. We have the ability to be true and authentic to ourselves in every single area of our business. And one of the notes I took for myself is, are you Godiva or are you Hershey? I, I like that.
It's all
I'm
chocolate at the end of the day.
you know what? I am a chocoholic, but I'm like, you know what? I am Godiva.
Hell yeah.
Treat myself.
I like that. All right, we're gonna go on to the next question. I love this conversation. How often do you raise your prices, and by how much? What is your system for increasing prices? Let's go ahead and start with Joey.
So yeah, I think I need to catch up to like more modern ways of looking at this and really looking at it. I think Hunter and Kim probably can dive more technical, but I always raise my prices at least once a year. And by how much, it really depends on the demand and the percentage of my goods and all those other little factors into it. But I always say about 15 to 20%. And when you're looking at that, it sounds like a lot, but off a $50 haircut, that's $10, or $5 or whatever, it's just little add-ons, but like your clients are going to see that as a value as well. And if they can't afford it, that extra $5 or $10 every 6 weeks, well, there's going to be somebody right behind them that will be able to. The way I look at it is I always like to raise my prices in my busiest seasons. So spring and holiday season. In the holiday season, nobody is going to be searching out for a new stylist. They're going to be coming to somebody that they're going to know that they're going to look good for the holiday season. So they're going to pay those prices, but they're also going to see what you're giving back to them as that perceived value as well. So they kind of get a glimpse of what they're going to get for their money as well. So I always like to start by like the holiday season, because if they are going to search for somebody else, all those stylists are booked as well. So they're not going to be able to get in those books. So they're going to stick with you pretty much. So that's where I like to start. And how often I raise my pricing is usually at least once, twice a year, usually.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Joey on that. I kind of look towards like that holiday season, like right about now that discussion starts happening about prices are going to be increased. But also you have to think about like what's happening throughout your year. If you are just completely slammed with your books, or if like prices of things like go up, I mean, you just have to go ahead and adjust with that. You have to be intentional when you do it. You can't be doing it multiple times throughout the year, because you're going to be losing your trust with your clients. But I think if you just like communicate that with them, and you just do it, intentionally and like when it needs to be done, that's kind of how I work with it.
So for me, and this is like the beauty of like where we have all stressed so many times already, like everybody has such an individual perspective for this. And I'm a firm believer when it comes to pricing, like in all aspects of every conversation we're having here, like it is so different, and it's just different for everybody. Okay. This is my tea. This is what I coach to, and this is what I believe for myself in my business as well. So if you're not raising your prices at least once a year, you're losing, like, period. Like you have to. It's a no and ifs or buts. Like you will lose out on money. Like the cost of living goes up for you, my friend. Like it literally goes up for you as a living human being in your personal life, having to put food on the table for your family, put up food on the table for yourself, right? But the cost of business also goes up as well. So your profit margin and then your cost of being able to be a living, functioning human being goes up, right? I already said it before, but I need to say it again because it's so important to understand. If you don't do this at least once a year, like you are really taking away from yourself and you are taking away from your business. And quite honestly, it's either raise your prices at least a little bit once a year, or not be able to, afford to have this amazing business that you love eventually, that gives you your income and that gives you the freedom that we absolutely love, right? So it's really important that you do this at least once a year. Now, when we get into, if we're going to do it more often, like Kim said, you have to look at the instances. You have to look at how your year is going. You have to look at the current circumstances of the economy of your business, right? You need to also decide, is this a structural change that I have to make, or is this a price increase that I have to make, right? Because sometimes it's not always a price increase. Sometimes you maybe have to lesser the days that you're working, or maybe sometimes you have to stop doing certain services. So it really just depends on the why behind what you have to, why you're considering a price increase. And for me, it does not matter, the how often. It just matters that it's the right time at the moment. Any other the Fortune 500 company, they're raising their prices at the right time whenever the hell they want to, based upon what's going on in their business and what's going on in the world. And so I think we should take notes. That's where I take my notes from. That's where I get my education from. And I think that we should take notes as an industry and follow that as well. I'll say from personal experience, I think that more than 4 times in a year, I think is max. 4 times in a year is max for me. I think that a price increase any longer than or any sooner than a 3-month gap in between each of them, I think is just too much. Like, you need to give yourself a 3-month time frame after your new price goes into effect to be able to see what the aftermath of your price increase was and be able to evaluate it, analyze it, and then see what your next steps are and see if it was successful or if it wasn't. I have literally raised my prices by $70, twice, back to back within 6 months. And it did what I needed it to do. And I was super successful with it. And I did, yes, lose the clients that I needed to lose in order to get the clients that I needed to be in my chair behind them. Right. So you just really have to consider what the circumstances are and then go from there.
I always also piggybacking off Hunter with the economy too. I look at my friends and my clients that work in the corporate world, and the economy has gone up a little, well, more than 5%, right? And so when our clients get raises from their, my friend just got a 2% raise from his corporate company. That's not even enough of a raise to bump up evenly with the economy. So we have to look at that. This is how we as independent stylists and salon owners get raises. That's the only way we can give ourselves a raise, is if we raise our prices so we can live and work as a business and provide that for our clients. So I just think we have to really look at the surrounding things that is around us as well, and look at our clients as well too. So that was a good one, Hunter.
On our end, we know we deserve a raise and we have the power to give ourselves a raise. We know the overhead of our business. We have conversations with our other friends and colleagues in the industry about what we're going to do and what we need to do. And we sit on webinars and we get this education. We're so hyped up, but it can be really awkward to have that conversation. It can be downright scary to have that conversation, especially with our clients sometimes who, they become extensions of our family. So we may know a little bit about their financial situation or anything like that that causes that conversation to be awkward. So how do you effectively communicate the price increase with your client? Start with Kim.
Yes, you are so true. This is probably the scariest part when we finally decide this is what I'm going to do, is having that communication and conversation with our client. And I always say, be so confident in it and be positive and try and remove the emotional part about it. If you're excited about it and you're not stuttering over your words and you're so confident in it, your clients are going to be excited for you. But if there's hesitation and they can feel that you're uncomfortable about this conversation, it just makes it kind of weird. They're sitting in your chair and then you're like, oh, I just don't know what to say anymore. This is really weird. So I always say, if you need to, maybe write up a little script of what the words you want to say. Practice those words, say them to yourself, bring in a stylist, have her come sit in your chair and pretend she's Sally and go over the whole conversation. And maybe have your stylist friend like give you some like bad feedback and like, or some good feedback or some pushback, and so that you can be comfortable with those words that you're saying to your client. And when you're doing that, that conversation, give it some time. I always give myself about 2 months, where I am telling all of my clients as they're coming in, today your service was this, but the next time you come in, my prices will be adjusted. You can tell them the select amount, or you can just say my prices are going up. And then make sure that you're not only telling your people in your chair, but use your text messages. Gloss Genius has an amazing area where you can text all of your clients, send out like a wide thing and let everybody know what's going on, send out an email. Be really, really open about it. Try not to hide it. It's only going to make that conversation even more uncomfortable if they kind of question you and you're like, oh, well, didn't you know? And it's like, deep down inside that maybe you weren't open with that conversation. So I feel like if I just, dot my I's and I cross all my T's, I feel really comfortable when I do have that conversation with them. And then make sure you go ahead and update all of your prices on your website, your brochures, all the things. I know I kind of got myself in a little bit of a pickle and I did not change my prices on my website, and I charged a client the wrong prices and she called me out. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. Make sure you go in, have all the correct pricing on all of your websites, your platforms, brochures, and just be really confident and positive in your conversation with them.
I like that a lot.
I can chime in if y'all want that.
Hop on it.
So Kim, freaking love that so freaking much. Thank you so much for sharing that too, because I think it's so important for us to be like sharing our stories and like our vulnerable moments, because it makes us feel like, like being a solopreneur, like in Sola, you don't really feel alone because the community is so strong. But like when it comes to this like businessy stuff that we don't want to talk about, it's so easy to get down on ourselves and like compare ourselves to everybody else. And it's like, we all are going to make mistakes. Like you're going to make a mistake. Like it is what it is. Right. And like the most successful freaking people, like the most successful people in this planet, they have made freaking mistakes. So that's for damn sure. So thank you for sharing that. The way that, so listen, I am Gen Z, okay? Like I am Gen Z. I hate confrontation. Stop. I hate confrontation, okay? Like confrontation is not the tea for me, all right? I did not grow up with that shit. I grew up with texting people, calling people. Nobody talks to each other face to face anymore, right? So, but I am on like I kind of like, I call myself like a zillennial because I'm like on the cusp of millennial, so I still really respect, and I think it's really important to have those face-to-face conversations. So I actually do a blend of both. I do a blend of both, and I will send out an email blast, a text blast, and I will have like a whole announcement situation. I always give my entire clientele 4 weeks. So I say, hey friend, here's the price increase that's going to happen. It's going to go in effect 4 weeks from today. Everybody who has an appointment booked up until that date already will be honored with the old price that you are already booked for. But post this date, whether you already have an appointment or you're booking an appointment moving forward, this new price will be affecting you, right? So it gives people 4 weeks to decide, do I want to stick with Hunter or do I not want to stick with Hunter, to prepare for that appointment or to not. But, instead of like throwing it on somebody like that day, like when they have an appointment with you that week, right? I just think that's like a little meh, right? So I like to give a 4-week notice, and I like to send a video because it gives people that like personal feel and personal touch of like seeing your face and you're smiling and you're thanking people. I do like a little Canva presentation, and I talk a little bit about like what I have going on in the suite. So I do like a lot of seasonal things, right? So I do like pumpkin spice, like scalp treatments and fun things like that. And so I'll talk about those fun things that make sure that you're exemplifying how valuable you are as a stylist and how unique you are as a stylist. But then I'm simultaneously also saying, and there are updates coming to my pricing. I want you to make sure that you check out the menu. This is like what it looks like right here in my presentation, but you can also find it here, X, Y, and Z. And the video goes down so well. But I also do like to have a conversation with every single one of my clients every single time about their budget in my consultation, regardless, right? So like I feel like that just covers your bases, whether you're having a price increase or not. I like to make sure that we are completely on the same page, whether I've done Susie's hair 50 times or one times. I want to know that like she knows what she's going to be paying that day. I think that Kim, you talk a lot about trust and making sure that you have that trust and loyalty between you and your client, and that those types of conversations that we don't want to have, that builds trust, that creates retention. And so I think a combo of both is really helpful for sure. One little last thing, one little last nugget. Y'all know I can talk. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I actually have moved to, and I coach to, and I teach people how to do it. I've moved to online booking only. So you can't book an appointment through me, like period. You have to go to my online booking. It creates really excellent boundaries for me, whether when I'm in the chair or when I'm not in the chair, et cetera, et cetera. And the great thing about that is people see the price before they come in. And with my session pricing, and with the way that I have my systems and processes set up, I'm confident that they know exactly what to book online and booking the right thing, and so they will see the price and they have they know what to expect when coming in to pay it. But again, I'm still having that conversation with them. So I like a mix of like the non-confrontation, digital blast, do all the things, but also having the in-person conversation as well.
That's
And
awesome.
I really do think I think the in-person conversation is the most awkward, I think, for even a person that's been in the industry for a while. We have those personal relationships with our clients, and pricing and money and all of that is just so like, oh, I hate this portion of it. But we have to say we are business owners front and foremost, and this is our business and we have to take it seriously like one. And so I think, and then we all came from somewhat of a salon where we had managers or a salon owner where we could just blame it on them, right? So I mean, we have Sola still, so I'll just blame it on Sola. Sorry, Sola raised their prices. I had to raise mine too, So I think just falling back on those little tips, but I don't like to explain why I'm raising my prices. I don't have to be like, well, I spent $2,000 on this education, and I went to this, and this color pricing went up $5. Like it's none of their business really. So I think just really communicating that and being confident, like Kim and Hunter has said, like this is what the new pricing is, and they'll be like, oh, you raised your prices. Like, yep, yeah, they did. I already communicated that with my emails and everything in the past. So I think they'll give you a little snarky little whatever, but just be confident with it, and then you'll see the aftermath afterwards if they cancel their appointment or whatever. But just know that there's more people that are willing to pay your pricing within that. So yeah, just be very confident, and the communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you do have to communicate it. Like,
Hell yeah.
Like you have to, like, period. Like you cannot just like sneak it in there and hope nobody notices. Like you have to tell your clients, period.
Because you have to think about yourself as a client. Like if I went in somewhere and then like I was expecting $50, now it's 65, and you're like, what? Where'd that come from? And then you feel like horrible about the whole situation. So, but yeah, that's a good one.
Absolutely. Joey, Kim, and Hunter, this is great. And no matter how great we are and every I dotted and T crossed, and I love the video idea and communication is key, we can do all of that on a level 10. But what do you do if you do lose clients? I think that's a valid question. And I think that if we had a hair industry game show, this would be one of the number one topics or questions asked is, what do you do if you do lose clients? Because that's a major fear of us. Hunter, we'll start with you.
Okay, so again, this goes back to like, what was the intention of your price increase, right? Because like sometimes you need to lose clients, right? And let me explain why. Because if you have somebody in your chair, right, who is not willing to pay this higher price, but you have demand on your time in which there are people who would come and see you, pay a higher price, but they're not going to come see you because there's somebody taking up that appointment slot that they want, right? Then you're losing money. You are taking away, you are literally leaving money on the table, right? And so it's really, especially when your demand gets really high. I know a lot of us Sola people, right? Us badass independent stylists. Don't know if I can curse on here, but sorry about it. We're a lot of the time we're super successful booked out stylists, right? Like a lot of the time, not all of us, but everybody's definition of success is different, but a lot of us have a lot of demand on our time, right? And so like, especially when you have like a crazy wait list, whatever it may be, like the point of your price increase is to do exactly what this says on the screen, is to lose the client, right? Doesn't mean that it's not going to suck. We create relationships with these people. Like we have really intimate conversations with these people. Like these people trust us more than they trust our therapists. Like I've read a whole book about it. Like it's actually crazy. And so it's gonna suck, right? And these people who you absolutely love, who you do not want to see leave, at the end of the day, this is a business. And I want you to think about, instead of like what you're losing there, I want you to think about what you're taking away from yourself and your family when you aren't letting that person go, right? And how you might become resentful because you're not charging what you need to be charging to feel like you are being paid what you're worth. And I mean, hell, like if your clients are upset about it, right? I mean, how upset are they going to be when your business goes under in 3 years because you didn't raise your prices and you can't keep up with the costs anymore, right? So you're going to lose clients. That's the point a lot of the times, right? A little $5 price increase here and there, that's not going to hurt anybody most of the time. Most of the time, a little $5 little bump up for like a cost of living situation, that's not going to hurt anybody. But if you do need to make a higher increase, expect this to happen and feel that fear and do it anyway and embrace that uncomfortability, because nobody said that being a CEO is going to be easy. You have to deal with these uncomfortable situations sometimes. And I know that my friends here are going to give you some great advice on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you raise your prices and you do lose a lot of clients. That can definitely happen. Like Hunter said earlier, Joey, like maybe you raised your prices way too much. You kind of lost, the trust in your clients. It's way outside of like your target market. You kind of have to go back and, like those 3 pillars I talked about in the beginning, like your demand, your timing, and your value, like question those. Like, was my demand not there? Like, was my timing off? Did I do many times this year? Did I jump too far? Like, did I add too much money? Am I not adding value to any more of their services? If you're not doing those things, they're going to leave. They have wandering eyes always. And like Hunter said, it's okay to lose some, but maybe you lost too many. And when you're in that time where you feel like, shoot, I just did the wrong thing, it's okay. Like double down then. Talk about your referral program. If you don't have one, create one. Ask like friends and family to bring friends in, or tell your client, like, I really love doing your hair. I really enjoy our time together. Like, do you have any friends or family you would, like to have come in? It's okay to, like we talked about earlier, to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. We are running a business by ourselves and we are figuring it out. So don't feel bad. Just double down, get on your social media, get on your email blast, like, do a little promo or a special. Just know that it's okay if you have lost clients in a bad way. We can always recover. Just kind of go back to those pillars and really double down on your services and your timing in your business.
My perspective on this is clients will leave you for the craziest things. They just will. I went from a salon in a house, and we literally moved a block over, like a street over, and we lost clients. And they're like, well, we couldn't find you, or, oh, you moved too far. It was a street over, girlfriend. I'm moving to another Sola downtown, which is 15 minutes away, but I know I'm going to lose clients. The clients were not waiting for you to get your license and get going and doing hair. They've gone to other stylists before, right? So they're just looking and hopping. That's what clients do. So if we realize that's going to happen, the fear kind of goes away. But that's why it's so important to continually market yourself, continually brand yourself. Start talking to more people. The more people you talk to, the more people that know about you. So when you do lose clients, more people are willing to fill up in your space. So I just think if you get rid of the fear of losing those clients, my clients are really dear to my heart. I have very, very awesome conversations with them. But am I hanging out with them on my weekends or my days off? Probably not. They do. When I was sick last week, some of them did reach out and say, hopefully you're doing okay. That's great. But I'm not calling them up, saying, what's going on, girlfriend? So you have to like kind of separate a little bit of that to like business and friendships, and then combining those two together, and then willing to let those friendships go as well, because we need to grow as a business and we need to grow as individuals. And so keeping those clients, just to have them isn't going to benefit you in any way. And then also not letting those old prices be grandfathered into other clients, because one, it's too difficult to be like, oh, well, Sally had, $50 this time. I'm going to keep it this way, and then I'm going to raise everybody else. It's too confusing. Sally can, afford the $10. And if she can't, I'm sorry, but you're just not going to be my clientele anymore. But always, always know that, or tell them that they always have a space in your chair. No matter if it is, just don't let them like, just go. Say, you're always invited back to my salon when you feel like it is a value to you. They might just come to you once a year and then go to somebody else in between. Or, they might have a big event that they need to look great for, and they're going to willing to pay those new pricing for you. So even if they're going to go, just always tell them that it's nothing personal, and they're always invited back to your chair and your suite whenever they're ready.
When I was a rookie, fresh out of barber school, I had a mentor, and he gave me a piece of advice. My mentor said to not fall in love with my clients. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean don't fall in love with my client? And he said that they have the ability to break your heart. And before they're in your chair, they were in somebody else's chair. And before that, they were in somebody else's chair. So have that separation there. So that helped me with that, not being afraid to just lose my clients. But sometimes it does hurt. And sometimes there are opportunities where we're able to shed some clients that the relationship needed to end anyway. One time I had a price increase. I had a gentleman that always paid cash for his haircuts, and he always paid cash for his haircut. And at the end of the service, communication via email and text message, talked to him the previous couple of haircuts that there would be a price increase. And he pulled out his wad of cash as he always does. And he's asking me how much is the haircut service. And I told him what it was. And he looked at me with his wad of cash in his hand. He looked at me, he looked me up and down. He looked around the studio and said, "You're doing all right. I'm paying the old price." And he gave me the old price. And that was the last time I ever saw him ever again. So it was okay with losing a client for me in that situation. Boom.
Yeah.
Steven, I think too, I'd heard some of you in the past talk about the power of Sola and the community that we have, so that just because maybe a client's no longer a fit for you, being able to utilize, the surrounding stylists or other service providers within each location, there are chances and opportunities to help other people build their business as you continue to grow. So I always thought that was just a really interesting and smart way to kind of approach. You may be losing a client, but someone else in Sola could be gaining that client. And it kind of just speaks to the power of our community.
You know what? That's so true. With a lot of us and the Sola where I am, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Sola salons across the country, that you may have some coworkers that you worked with in a salon or a barbershop in your Sola now. And our clients, we're familiar with each other, and who wasn't a fit for me or wasn't a fit for the other barber, they're still able to cross promote and go to the next person. So you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, and I think that helps with going back to the communication. Raising your prices, and maybe somebody can afford you anymore, that you have that referral to another stylist, so that you're not leaving them hanging. You can say, like, there's this really great girl that just moved in down the hallway. I think you guys would be a great fit. Like, here's her card. And yeah, totally networking and building each other up in our Sola community is awesome.
So what advice would you give to someone who's considering raising their prices? Joey?
Just do it. I mean, the fear of raising your pricing, it is for real. We all go through it, and you have to understand, like, I fear it every single time. Like, I do it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna lose clients. Oh, they're gonna, backlash on me. And that fear I always feed into, because I always remember the fear of even coming to Sola for the first time, and walking through those doors, and then making my business, and creating it, and and then looking back on it, I'm like, why was I so fearful? So the only piece of advice is we all know we have to do it. We all know we are going to have to do it at one point in our career. So just do it, rip off that Band-Aid, and just, there's going to be some consequences. But there's going to be so much positivity that comes out of it as well. Not only for yourself and how to build yourself up, but your business. Like, our businesses are babies, and we have to treat it that way. So the best advice is to go out there and follow all the advice that this panel has given you, and just make that first text or that first email, and just hit send and just walk away, because that will erase that fear for sure, and will take and make yourself accountable, is basically what it is. So that's my best advice for everybody, just to rip all that Band-Aid and run.
Yes, Joey. Yeah, let go of the fear, y'all. I know it's hard, but I think when we don't do raise prices, we almost get resentment towards our job. We start to like live in this place of like, God, I'm like busting my ass and I'm not making what I wish I was. Well, when you're at Sola, like, you're in charge of that. You don't have anybody above you telling you that you can't. Nobody wants to sit in that space. You do not want to go into work not in a good mind space of like loving your job anymore, because you're not valuing yourself and getting paid what you're worth. So let go of the fear. Do not get into that resentment place. Everybody deserves a raise. And yes, ours is not your typical a boss giving you a 2% or a bonus or something like that. We have it even better. We can do it when we want, how much we want, just as long as that there is the right intent behind it and the right reasoning for it. But once you do it, you love your job that much more. You're happy to go. And it feels really great that you can do it yourself. That's why I love Sola.
I have I have all the things to say with this, but like, I'm going to try to keep it short. Like, this is uncomfortable. Like, we all have to experience this, right? Like, we all have to experience it. You are not alone. Like, as you can see, like, us up on this panel right now, right? We've done this a couple times. We raised our prices a couple times and we've lived through it. We've done it, right? It's still hard for us. However, it's gotten easier for us every single time. Although it's still hard, it's gotten easier. We've learned a lot of lessons throughout it, and now we're able to share those lessons with you, right? And so you will learn those lessons yourself as well. And if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not learning, then you are not growing, right? If you're not learning these lessons, then that's not what's going to bring you to your next level and allow you to achieve the financial freedom that I know you are looking for, right, in your business. And I will say that, tactically, having the systems and processes in place to make sure that you can do this in an organized way, to make sure that your clients have access to everything that they need as far as information goes, is really important, and it makes this a whole lot easier. Knowing that your client experience is next level and that they can't get it with anybody else, that definitely brings a lot of confidence. So make sure that you really have been focusing on how you're serving your clients every day, and just be strategic and understand your why and your intention behind what you're doing, and you'll be just fine, my friend. So go freaking send that email. All right, start asking the budget question in the consultation. Watch this replay, take more notes, because I know that you weren't taking them before. Okay, so I want you to go back and start taking more notes. All right, and do the damn price increase. We support you.
Yes.
And one little thing, listen. We all have to listen to the things around us as well. How many times has your clients been like, Joey, I think you really need to raise your pricing? Like, I mean, if your clients are telling you this, there's something there, right? Or even your fellow Sola people, you know, like we always like ask how much our prices and blah blah. And like if you're like, I tell my barbers like in the back, like you're still charging $20 for a haircut, girl, like let's go. So I think we just have to listen to each other and yeah, and just do it.
Wait, on top of that, can I tell y'all a story? Okay. So in my first Sola suite, there was a gal next to me. Her name was Jalissa, and she was a nail tech, and so she just did nails in her Sola suite, and she became my absolute bestie. We like both moved in at the same time, and she was absolutely excellent. She blew up so fast in her Sola, like stupid booked out, like not taking new clients, yada yada yada. And I was like, of course, business coaching her every single time I was there. But can I tell you, like, I was so pissed that I could not get in with her if I had to reschedule or if I had an event going on. I was so annoyed that I wasn't able to get in with her at a convenient time. And I am somebody who would pay double to get my full set. So that way, when I'm going to Sola sessions, I have a cute full set, right? But I need to get in at a time, right? I need to get in at a certain time to do that. So I am somebody who will pay that top dollar to get in there. But there's people who are taking up my appointment time that I want, right? Who would not pay the same amount of money that I am. So I'm pissed, right? So your clients who find you to be absolutely valuable and who would pay you what you are worth, they are pissed that they cannot get that appointment slot because there's somebody filling it that does not see you to be that valuable and that worth it. Okay? Period.
Yeah.
Like, so instead of focusing on the people who don't find you to be worth it and find you to be valuable enough for these, focus on the freaking people who do. It's so easy. It's primal. It's primal. It is natural for us to immediately focus on the negativity and immediately focus on the repercussions, right? And the people who are giving you shit, right? What about the majority of the people who do find you to be worth it? Take care of those people. That is what this decision is doing. It's taking care of those people at the end of the day, right? So who are you going to be making decisions for? Are you going to be making decisions for, Karen, who won't pay your $5 increase, or you're going to be making decisions for Kim, who's going to be paying your $50 increase, right? Period.
Yes.
Awesome. We've been getting a lot of feedback in the chat box. When I raised my prices, my client said about time. I love that one. Great feedback. I'm loving this conversation. I am too. We have time for one question. We're about to wrap this up. We have time for one brief question. Is there a cap to how high you can raise your prices? Anybody can jump in on this one. Is there a cap to how high?
I don't think there's
Go ahead.
Okay. I don't think that there's a cap, but you have to know your market and you have to know your area. I think you can definitely outprice yourself if you are not looking at those two things. But I wouldn't say that there's like a cap where you just stop at. I mean, prices of goods just continuously go up. I mean, if we look back years ago, what the cost of a haircut is to nowadays, like, it seems crazy, but it's just like, it just keeps on going up. So there's no cap, but just be like really intentional, like where you are living at, where your market is at, and just being true to yourself. Like, I can't, like we talked about earlier, like looking like, so how much do you charge for haircuts? Well, like if they live in California in a high-end area and they're charging $500-$600 for a haircut, I'm sorry, I wish I could do that, and maybe at some point I could, but like where I'm located right now, that's just like my market, it's not there. So there's no cap. Just do your research, know where you're at, and price accordingly.
I like that.
I would just say I don't think there's a cap per se, but just kind of like know who you are and your brand and everything like that. And you can't just make a crazy jump just because. You can't be a Hershey bar chocolate and dress up like Godiva and then charge those prices. You have to have those building blocks and those building stones to get to that point if you started at some point, because then where do you go from there? You can't just, you're just going to be so crazy. So I think just little increments every time is going to build you up to that. But you need room to grow. So I don't think, you know, crazy just because, but then also perceived value. What are your clients looking at that price increase? So I think there's a lot of factors in that, but I personally wouldn't just go just because I'm just going to raise it $100 because what are they getting out of that? What are you giving to your clients for that value or that increase? So just don't pretend, but build that brand and build your pricing within that.
I really like
Awesome.
what you. Okay, go ahead. Steven's like
Yeah.
Hunter cut.
You know what, guys? You know, we're running low on time. Joey, Hunter, and Kim, we can have this discussion conversation, you know, for hours. But don't worry, this is not the last time you will be hearing from us on this topic. And the great thing about where we are today is you can actually rewatch this and catch those nuggets that you may have missed. So this won't be the last time you'll be hearing from us.
Yeah, I just want to give you all, I mean, such a shout out and special thanks. The information on this webinar truly invaluable. If everyone on this call isn't going back to do some soul searching and chocolate research to figure out if they're Hershey's or Godiva after this, then I don't know what you took away from this. But nonetheless, I hope you all are ready to take price and are feeling confident to give yourself a raise. I think there were just such really great pieces of advice here. Some of the things I took away is it's really, really unique and individual, just like each and every piece of the way that you guys run your business, which is why you're here. It's the freedom of Sola. It's the freedom of being a owner in your own, you know, studio. And I think that taking just the expertise from this panel and utilizing our own community is a great place to start. So feel confident, feel comfortable. I think Kim, Hunter, Joey, you guys all just said, just freaking do it. Maybe with a few more explicit terms in between there. So just freaking do it. And don't forget that this and a bunch of other educational resources are on the Sola Pro app. So if you haven't downloaded it, do. We'll continue to do webinars and provide tools and resources. And Kim, Hunter, Stephen, Joey, thank you so much. All of their contact information is here too. I know they are always open to answer questions and support the Sola community any way possible. So with that, I hope everyone has a great week and take price.